Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And this is your first time here. My name is Daniela Agofri and I make faith-based content and I post a new video every single week. If that's something you're interested in, subscribe and let's get straight into today's word. So today is actually a part two of the previous video that I posted. If you haven't already watched that, the link is going to be in the description box, right? So I was talking about forgiving what you cannot forget, and we're going to be focusing on the effects of bad parenting, especially on childhood emotional neglect, trauma. So yeah, we're going to be talking about the effects, overcoming the effects of this type of trauma. Right? In the previous video, we talked about how to recognize that you are actually exhibiting characters from this type of trauma. Right? Now we're talking about actually practical steps on how to overcome it. So yeah, number one, I have 5 steps written down here, so we're going to talk about 5. Number one, track your feelings and your emotions. So you want to constantly ask yourself, right? Why am I feeling this way? Like, what is going on with me? Every single feeling, every single emotion that you have is coming from somewhere. If you're having an outburst, you're just bursting out in anger, you should ask yourself, like, okay, why did I just feel this way? Why did I just act this way, right? Because people have experienced, if you've experienced this type of trauma, you've probably suffered from not being able to express yourself from a young age. You've learned to bottle things up from when you were younger and not express how you felt. So this can often manifest even when you're older. You just end up bottling things up until it gets to a point where you just have an outburst. And these are one of the things I talked about in the first video, right? You bottle things up until you just end up exploding one day. So you should always track your feelings and emotions. What this person did, how did it just make me feel? Learn to actually communicate in an effective and calm manner, right? You should always be able to express your displeasure without having an outburst, without being angry. If someone does something to cross your boundaries or to make you upset, you should be like, okay, I didn't appreciate what you just did, right? I would rather you do X, Y, and Z instead of this. And if they don't respect that, then you know that, okay, this is someone that cannot respect your boundaries, and you detach, right? So yeah, you should always constantly track your feelings and your emotions. Number two, self-care. This could be emotional, it could be physical. And how do you treat yourself? It could also be mentally. So how do you treat yourself in these ways? Mentally, I would always recommend reading the Bible. There's nothing that tells you who you are and how to handle situations more than the Word of God. You would think that, oh, the Word of God is just about church, but no, it's not all about that. The Word of God actually tells you how to handle situations that come before you. For instance, how do you handle things that you cannot forget, but and you want to forgive, but you cannot forget? It talks about how you should forgive somebody 70 times, 7 times, because even God understands that there are things that the pain is a lot. God knows, He knows that there are some things that will overwhelm you. There's some pain, there's some trauma, there's some hurts that will overwhelm you, right? And you're just like, okay, I'm trying to forget, but I cannot forget. I've forgiven this person, but every single time their name comes to my mind, or maybe I see them, or a thought comes to my mind. Why is it like, oh, I'm replaying every single thing that's happened in the past, right? That is because you need to rely on the Word of God. There's just some things that is only God that can help you overcome it, to be very honest. So that is what, like, scriptures like this are for times. It's a fly that is distracting me. Scriptures like this are for times like that, right? So yeah, even God knows that there are pain, there are things that you feel that, right, that you need to forgive. You need to keep forgiving over and over again, right? Because He knows that the pain is a lot. So yeah, one of the ways I would advocate for you to treat your mind is reading the Bible. That is the number one. Number two, read books, read self-help books, read books on emotional health, read books that will just help your mental state, right? And also, I would always advocate for therapy. Therapy is always a beautiful thing, but I mean, if you know that you're someone of faith, it's always good to have a therapist that is also grounded in the Word of God and faith. So it just helps you guys to work better together. So yeah, that's it for dealing with your mental state, right? And for emotional, also therapy also works, or having a safe space where you can share your feelings, your hurts with somebody. There's always a comfort that comes from sharing something with someone, either a counselor or a therapist or a very good friend, right? knowing that somebody else understands you, right? It's always a beautiful thing when you can share your feelings, your hurts, and all of that in a safe space, in a safe environment where you don't feel like you're being judged, right? And for the physical aspect, I mean, you go to the spa or get some new clothes, shoes if you can afford that. I know that retail therapy is a real thing. So yeah, or treat yourself to a nice day at the spa. So that's it for self care, right? And also, I would also advocate for journaling. I think writing down how you feel is, yeah, it often helps with expressing your feelings and emotions without having an outburst. So you should always you could have a journal if you're someone who's into that, or if you've never done that before, it's something you should try journaling, right? Or you could start by writing something you're thankful for, something you're grateful for, and what you would like to do differently every single day at the end of the day, right? And number three, accept help and support from others. One of the things that we often exhibit from emotional trauma is not being able to accept help from other people, right? So you should learn to accept help from people. We're built for community at the end of the day, so you should always learn to know how much you can handle, how much you can do. Don't feel like you're your own island at the end of the day. Always know that okay, you have your strengths and you have your weaknesses, and that's why you have people around you, right? For them to be able to complement areas that you're not so strong in. So yeah, that's it for number three, accepting help from others and support from others. Number four, setting healthy boundaries. So this is one of the things I would struggle with when we have experienced CN, right? You don't have appropriate boundaries set in your life. People just feel like they can come in whenever they want to come to your house. They feel like they can do whatever they want to do, and you will not speak up, right? Because they know that they know you won't speak up, right? They know that you just, oh yeah, she'll understand, right? We often have those people, right, where you just feel like, okay, yeah, they will understand, she'll understand, she won't say anything. But yeah, but at the end of the day, it makes you uncomfortable. You feel a certain type of way, right? Or you just can't express how you feel because you don't want to offend that person. But you should never feel that way. You should never let people feel so comfortable to the point where you displease yourself, where you make yourself uncomfortable. So yeah, you should be able to set bound things. So don't like you can if you have an issue with someone coming to your house unannounced. I mean, I would imagine you would be. You should tell them that, oh, I mean, I would like you to give me a call before you show up at my house. Like, you can't just show up at my doorstep like that. You can't just show up at my gate like that. You need to call me before you come. Or I don't take calls. I need to check on my son. Give me a minute. You need to tell them that, yeah, I don't take calls after a certain time of the day, right? So, and when you enforce this, when you speak about these boundaries, you also need to enforce them. So if someone calls you after a certain time, you don't pick up. People watch your actions more than what you say. So if you say something but you don't reinforce them that by your actions, they'll keep doing it. They will keep calling you after 10 o'clock. They will keep showing up at your house if you don't speak up about it. But if they come to your gates once, twice, and they know you're home but you don't pick up, but you've told them before that they should not do that, they will know that okay, I went to this person's house and this girl was at home but she did not pick up. They will know. And if that person is sensible, they'll understand that okay, I should have called first, right? So yeah, always setting healthy boundaries is very important. Yeah. And number five, which is the final one, refrain from negative self-talk, self-criticism. So one of the ways you talk to yourself essentially is one of the things that would often propel you to become the person that you would be at the end of the day. So if you're talking down on yourself constantly, if you don't see yourself in a certain light as someone that deserves better, someone that can do better, then you'll never become better at the end of the day. You cannot keep saying, oh, because I've experienced X, Y, and Z, right? I'm someone who is this way. I can achieve great things. I can do this. But if you start to talk to yourself in the way that God sees you, especially, right? You start to see yourself in the way that God sees you, and you start to talk to yourself in ways that are just positive. Those things would really help you, right? So yeah, and one of the things I would like to say to just cap everything up, because when you've suffered from trauma, when you've suffered from things like this, you often grow up with resentment for your parents. You grow up feeling like you deserve better in terms of childhood, in terms of your parents, right? But what I would say is that I don't believe anybody's parents is accidental, no matter what you've experienced in life. That is not what the word of God even says, right? It says that you should honor your parents, honor your father and your mother, and your day shall be long, right? So it then comes down to, so how do you navigate things like, how do you navigate pain? How do you navigate hurt? Especially when it's coming from people that your primary caregivers, people that should have showed you love, affection, right? You should understand at the end of the day that they did not know any better. If they did, they would have done better, right? I don't know what anybody there might have experienced. I'm sure people have experienced worse. People have experienced so many things that they can't even talk about. When they talk about it, it brings them to tears, right? But there's a popular Latin maxim in law, and it goes, nemo dat quod non habet. And it means literally that you cannot give what you do not have. So when your parents did whatever they did when they were younger, they probably did not experience love, affection, care from their own parents. If they did, they would have done better. I can't imagine someone that grew up in a loving home, a caring home, a home where they received the adequate love, affection, and all of that. I'm not saying it excuses any of that, because as you grow up, you are responsible for your own actions, right? But those are just things that put things into perspective. If they knew better, they would do better. They could not give you the love and affection because they do not have it. They cannot give what they do not have at the end of the day, right? When you grow up in a home where certain things were just lacking, you often end up manifesting those same things when you become a parent if you're not conscious about it. I can only speak for myself. I can't speak for everybody, like I said, but it's easy to condemn your parents. It's easy to say that, okay, they should have done better. When I'm a parent, I'll do better. But I can confidently tell you that I'm not proud of it, but I will tell you for free that when I became a parent, I started to experience certain things that my father used to do, my parents used to do, and I had to give myself a reality check and be conscious about it and say, Daniela, you're going to do better. You're not going to repeat the same patterns that you experienced as a child that your parents did, right? So to an extent, it takes a certain level of awareness and being conscious that, okay, this is wrong, this is not right, and I'm going to do better. So why am I saying this? Most of our parents, they didn't even realize what they were doing. They did not. They think this is normal. Like they think, oh, it's not, this is what I experienced and it's normal, like suck it up, like why are you complaining, right? So as a parent or as an adult who grew up in a home where your parents were emotionally, they essentially neglected you emotionally, you have to ask yourself that did they have the exact same thing that you were requesting them of? Did they have care? Did they have love? Did they have affection from their own parents? Do they even have that to give to begin with, right? And understanding this really brings a certain sense of peace, right? And comfort, I hope, because it's easy to just say, okay, they were doing this intentionally, but I don't think that anybody in their right frame of mind, right, would actually treat their children in a harmful way, in a neglectful way, if they knew better, if they could do better. It's not an excuse, but it's just the reality of things, right? So yeah, that is really it for this video. I have to go check on my son because he's been coughing. I don't understand what's going on. But yeah, I hope this video has blessed someone out there. Yeah, I'm sorry it was just all over the place. It's a fly. My son needs my attention. So yeah, I gotta go, guys. Comment, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.